All these things are going through my head, you know. One thing about it is that my dad, you know, I grew up on 13th and Millard. Anybody that's from Chicago, you know, on the west side knows about 13th and Millard, or even just knows about Douglas Park or or Independence Boulevard or anywhere around in that area. And those that's where I grew up. Circle. That's where I grew up. But my dad was very determined to get us out of that, you know. And he scrimped and scraped and worked his ass off, and he got us out, and we ended up moving to Elmwood Park. He took such tremendous pride in that house, and it's I think it's the one thing that I can say outside of, you know, his family that he loved. So here's where we get to the real muddy part. The day after my mom passed, his side of the family, his people, who I really don't even deal with like that, mind you, because they never came around. I mean, anytime my dad wanted to barbecue or wanted to have a family gathering, they rarely showed up. Rarely showed up. And if they did show up, they coming for the food and they leaving and making up some lame ass excuse about having to go and do something else somewhere else. And when all my dad wanted to do was spend time with his brothers and his sister, but they had better shit to do, especially his sister, oh grifting ass. Okay, anyway, because stay focused. So the day after, and mind you, too, neither one of these motherfuckers, I had been texting my uncle and letting him know that my mom was about to die. Ain't none of them come to see her. None of them came to see her. None of them even bothered or attempted to try to call me and find out anything. But the next day, they went over to my dad's house. And I guess, you know, there was boxes and things like that all over scattered around the house. Like new things that had just been bought. And of course, you know, my dad didn't do stuff like that. It's my brother. Because one thing I didn't mention is my brother, over the course of I don't know how many years, he has actually stolen over $100,000. He's actually robbed them of a well over 100,000 easy, and has crashed 4 cars. So this account that I'm about to talk about, this was the last account that he had, checking and savings. This was the account that nobody really knew about, and it had whatever was left of his money in it. I would check it periodically to make sure things was, you know, good. And I didn't have like debit card access or anything like that, but I had the checkbook. He gave me the checkbook because he was helping me pay for my daughter's tuition. So he gave me the checkbook. I didn't have the debit card. And I would, you know, like I said, periodically check it. Like right before my mom died, I knew what was in both the accounts, the checking and the savings. And I actually had access to the house account because that is how I paid their bills with this other account from this other bank. And the mortgage and, you know, the house bills and everything, I paid it with that account, right? Okay, so I have everything on auto. You know, my dad was always, like, he was hungry. I would always buy food. And even when my mom was alive, like, I constantly had to buy food until I started realizing that my brother was eating the food up from them. He would literally, I would buy groceries, I would buy $300 something worth of groceries, and the shit is gone within a day or two. And he's literally eating their food from them. So it got to a point where I, you know, just started buying them separate, like things separate. Like, you know, they would want the rest of my food. You know, I made sure it was healthy, you know, but that's what I would do. I would get them salads or, you know, just anything that wasn't like about to clog their arteries or anything like that. You know, but I would make sure that, you know, when they said they was hungry, it DoorDash it or Instacart it or whatever it was, you know. I had Lyft set up, you know, for my dad's appointments and my mom, you know, just to get back and forth, you know, whether it was to the doctor or to come and see me. I had these things set up. And not only that, when I realized what my brother was doing where the food was concerned, I told my parents, I said, I'm going to figure out a way. I'm never going to not, like, you know, make sure that they're good or whatever, but he cannot have. Don't give him. Stop giving him, because he would bully them. He would bully them. And like I told you, no matter how hard I tried to get them up out of there, my dad was not going. My dad was not going. And you just had to know about the situation to understand, because I know, you know, people will be like, I would have pulled my parents out, I would have did this, I would have did that. It's the same thing with an abusive relationship when it comes to a man and a woman, or woman, man, it don't matter, domestic period. It's the same fucking thing. You can say it all you want until you are actually in that situation. You know, so anyway, what ended up happening was that next day, when they came over, they saw all this stuff, all these boxes and things like that scattered around the house. And then they started to question my dad, like, where's all this stuff coming from? And, of course, found out it was Walter, and my dad going to defend him yet again. My mom just died. So my dad really, honestly, he could have cared less at that point. I know for sure, even though I had not seen him since the night before. So he really could have cared less about what he was walking into, with boxes and things like that. But I had told him, I said, this other account, you need to stop letting him. I said, I don't know how he got a debit card, because I actually, like, probably a week before my mom passed away, we went over there, because I found out when I checked the accounts, I checked the checking and the savings, and I found out the money was dissipating. It was leaving. And I knew that I had took the debit cards, like a couple weeks before. I had took them because I didn't want Walter to get them, because I had started seeing the money leave, and that money was specifically there in case something happened to the house. That is what my dad used that account for. It was specifically for the house, and to, he, like I said, he was helping me with Hermione's tuition. So when I went over, or no, not when I went over there. So when they saw what was happening with all the merchandise that was in the house, he had stuff piled up, that he had bought from Amazon and all this, that, and the third, to resell it, right? They instantly took my dad to the bank. They took him to the bank and forced him to take my name off of the account that I was over for the house, and also took my mom and my dad off of this account, and they put their names on all the accounts. Now, the account that I was over, that account actually belonged to my daughter in the event that something happened to my mom or my dad. That account, she was the legacy for that account, right? This account over here was the account that he only gave me a checkbook for to help pay for her tuition. If what you wanted to do was find out all these things, like what's happening and why he's buying all these things, all you had to do was ask. You didn't even bother to do that.